Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you joining me today. Today's topic, I want to cover a very recent client engagement that I had, and that's been coming up more and more recently, which is actually how do we reverse negative self-talk? So I want to talk about my most common techniques. That way you can kind of pick and choose your favorites. And if this is something you suffer from, then hopefully we can reverse it together. All right. So first off, what is negative self-talk? So this is saying things like, I can't do something, or I am terrible at that, or I will never be able to, right? It is putting forms of absolutes on you in a negative fashion. Because here's the thing, we are always adaptable and always changeable. And obviously within reason, you could do anything, right? You can't see me because I'm sitting down. I'm the most average sized human being on the planet. I'm 5'9", I'm a $180, right? And, as you can see, like I'm not super built, right? But like I work out. I'm never going to be the NBA or NFL star, right? Straight up. So as long as it's like within reason, you can do what you want. Okay. And especially when it comes to these everyday life things like, oh, I'm bad at that. I'm terrible at this. These reinforce to your brain that you will never be good, that you are bad, that it is just this absolute statement. Okay. And speaking in absolutes is almost never good because even the flip side, right? Too much absolute positive talk can also be great, or it can also be detrimental, right? I'm great at this, or I'm perfect at this, or I'm amazing at this. Well, then where's your opportunity to grow, right? So by using the absolutes and also extreme language paired with that on both sides of the equation, neither of which is good. Our focus for this video, though, is the self-talk or negative self-talk. So let's focus in on my common techniques here. And I'm going to try to rank them, if you will, starting from the easiest, simplest things to change up to something that might be a little bit more difficult. And by difficult here, I'm just meaning more effort, more work, and more time investment. So not necessarily difficult as in hard, but just more effort. Okay. So with that, my first super, super easy technique, honestly, is actually just adding yet and because to your vocabulary. So if you are saying something along the lines of, I'm terrible at budgeting myself because I don't know how to keep track of my expenses or whatever, right? But your because now becomes a problem to solve. So versus just stopping at, I'm terrible at my budget. I'm terrible at my budget because I don't know how to track my expenses month over month. Sweet. You've now just identified the problem to solve. You now, however you keep track of the improvements that you need to make or your problems to solve on your personal life, however you track those and keep going of them. I've said it before in multiple videos. I will say it again. Huge fan of Tick. I love it. I would not be nearly as efficient and effective as I am without it. So not affiliated, nothing from them. Go get it. Free version. It's phenomenal. But it's a simple change, right? Or the yet, right, can simply be that I haven't been able to work out yet. I haven't been able to achieve my financial goals yet. Adding the yet in there, it's not as concrete and effective as the because the because forces you to identify the problem that needs to be solved, yet removes the absolute value. Okay. So that's the key thing that we are trying to do there with yet, is something as simple as that, right? It puts yourself as a state externally of in progress. You are in flight. And this actually kind of leads into another one that I think is very simple, very easy, very low hanging fruit, right? Which is reframing yourself as to being in process as opposed to the absolute quality. So again, I'm terrible at budgeting. I'm in the process of learning how to budget, or I have yet to master the skill of budgeting. Do it even better. I've yet to master the skill of budgeting because I am still learning how to track my expenses, right? So now you have in the state of process, in the state of motion, you're not being absolute, and you identify your problem. So like this is something very, very, very simple from a language perspective that requires no effort, no money, no crazy nonsense, right? Now, this is easier if you have an external accountability system, if you have a spouse, if you have a friend, if you have a coworker or somebody that you trust that will actually hold you accountable to this. Super, 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 super effective. Okay. But this is like my immediate go-to low-hanging fruit. Be mindful of when you speak in absolutes and remove the absolutes. Okay. And try to even do it on both sides of the equation. So again, the positives as well, because if you make it a habit to just remove the absolute language, period, then you just don't think in absolutes, period, and you are forcing yourself to always be in a flight of process and progress and moving forward. And it just sets that tone that you are never done. So it's kind of that I'm a forever student side of the equation. Okay, something else that also is pretty low-hanging fruit and low effort. Whatever that inner critic, that inner voice that's sitting there and tells you, because maybe you're not vocalizing or saying out loud, oh, I'm terrible at budgeting, right? You're just like, oh, I'm working on budgeting, or I need to learn how to budget. And then your inner critic is like, yeah, but you freaking suck at it and you always have for 20 years. Like that inner critic, it's going to sound dumb. It's going to sound lame, but I promise it's effective. Give it a name. If you can, actually give it a name of somebody that you have a negative association to, somebody that you don't like, somebody that you don't want to be a part of your life, somebody that previously used to be a part of life that screwed you over. So if you can have a negative name association, even better, not required. Then have a conversation with it, right? So I know, oh, you're crazy if you talk to yourself. No, you should be having an inner dialogue, right? And this is with everything, positive and the negative. Okay. But when you have that inner critic that's like, oh, you're terrible at budgeting and you always have been for the last 5 years. What makes you think you're going to be better? Then you can sit there and be like, John, no, I'm able to learn this. I'm able to overcome it. Why do you always have to be so negative? Right? Like have that conversation and throw some mud back, right? Like I said, the reason why you have a little bit more of a benefit if you can tack on to a negative or a name with a negative association to you, or somebody you don't want to be a part of your life, or that, screwed you over in the past, is because by naming it somebody that you already have a negative association with, you will want to cast out that name from your inner critic, right? Like you'll want to remove that. You want your inner critic to be constructive, right? So, and then here's another cool trick. Once that inner critic starts to be constructive, not detrimental, name it to somebody positive in your life, right? And then that becomes another thing. Even better, if you want to one-up that, actually name it yourself, right? Now you're reinforcing that you are your constructive critic, that you are the voice inside, and that you are pushing yourself forward. Takes a level of self-acceptance, I think, for that one to really hit home. So again, if you have to kind of externalize that accountability by naming it somebody positive, once your inner critic becomes positive, do that. Okay? But phenomenal tip and trick to essentially defeat that inner critic is give it a name, have a conversation with it, have a very constructive and forceful and confident conversation. And as a bonus, name the inner critic, somebody that's not positive in your life. Okay, so now we're going to get into some additional steps that might require a little bit of effort or a little bit more time. So something that I always say to do is look yourself in the eyes, in the mirror, and speak affirmations, not just like positive nonsense, but when you are maybe having these conversations. So again, if you are maybe talking to yourself or having that inner critic conversation, you're having these self-contained conversations. So obviously if you're in the middle of conversing with your friend, don't just go run to the mirror, right? To have a conversation as if it was with your friend. But add on to these by doing it in the mirror and looking yourself in the eyes, not at yourself. Don't just look at the facade or look vaguely at you, but actually look in your eyes and have these conversations. The reason I say that this one is kind of a next level is because people have difficulty looking at themselves in their eyes. I always compare it to looking at yourself versus in yourself. When you look yourself in the eyes, you are looking in your soul. And a lot of times, the crazy thing is you don't even have to say anything. Your brain can be calm. Go look in the mirror, just look yourself in the eyes, and you will immediately have an emotional reaction almost every single time. And that emotional reaction first needs to be conquered for this to be successful, because most people have some sort of negative reaction, whether that's disappointment, whether that's anger, sadness, frustration, anxiety, something negative for looking themselves in the eyes. So you almost need to practice that one on its own before you bring it into conversing with yourself while looking yourself in the eyes. But trust me when I say that if you think it's difficult to converse with your friend, your family, your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, when looking them in the eyes and having a difficult conversation, honestly, it's harder to do it with yourself than it is with them. In my experience and opinion from coaching people and also using this technique myself. I practice what I preach, I promise. So wrapping that up, because everything after this is going to be additional activity versus responding to existing activity. So let's wrap this up again. So things you can do with yourself, by yourself, little to no investment. So to reverse your negative self-talk, add yet and because to your statements, right? I haven't mastered this thing yet. I am not good at budgeting because blank. Those identify the problem and put yourself as in process. That reframe of pushing yourself into a process or being constantly in motion is also key. Remove the absolutism from your language. You are not terrible, right? You are not great because you need to finish this class or you need to get more practice, whatever. Name your inner critic, talk back, fight back. If you can, give your inner critic a name with a negative association to a person in your life that either you don't want to be a part of it, you removed years ago, whatever it might be. If you're going to have these conversations out loud, do it in the mirror while looking yourself in the eyes, not at yourself. There's your self-contained, no one else needed, no additional activity needed, just playing off of what's already existed. Okay. So now we'll do additional activities that you can do with yourself. And these are not long. I'm not going to tell you to sit here and take an hour a day to do this stuff. Okay. We're talking like 5, maybe 10 minutes a day or semi-frequently. All right. So as you accomplish things, even small ones, so humility is going to be key here. Document the evidence. Let's say that you are on a path for the gym. You want to lose 20 pounds. Okay. Well, there's a lot of things that happen before you even work out, right? You get ready for it. You fill your water bottle. You take a pre-workout. You, whatever it might be. Okay. Document that you did those things. Then every time you have that inner critic, you have that self-doubt, or you start to feel bad about the fact that you are unable to achieve that 20-pound loss, or that you are not somebody who goes to the gym and works out. You have written evidence. You have an evidence journal of some kind, right? It doesn't have to be physical. It can be digital, it can be a Word document, whatever. But document that, right? So I myself, actually, something that I do is I'm going to go back to Critic here, right? I literally have a daily habits thing, which is very small, but it's effectively, did you work in Pomodoro cycles? Did you take your electrolyte, or did you drink electrolytes? Did you work out? And did you learn something? I had to think about what the fourth one was, funny enough. That's it, right? So reminding myself of, did I do those things? And the cool thing about Critic is it has a history of every day and the amount of times that I've checked those things and done them. So like, it's my documented evidence. So whenever I'm just like, man, I haven't learned or I haven't grown, I'm just like, oh, wait, no, but Critic says that I literally did an hour of learning 250 days straight. What do you mean? Right? It's just immediately conquered and eliminated this inner voice that tries to make this claim. So document the smallest of wins. I put on my workout shoes. I went to the gym for 5 minutes today, right? Like, be humble enough to break things down into these small wins, and these small wins stack. Okay. And kind of coupling with this, you can either do this in addition or as an adjacent practice, is take 5 minutes for a little bit of gratitude practice, right? And the way I would frame this is whatever you would say, whenever you ask yourself on Thanksgiving, if you celebrate Thanksgiving, uh, what are you thankful for? That's what you're trying to do on a daily basis. And here's the thing. This doesn't have to be this massive achievement. This doesn't have to be this massive thing, but just, even if it's just an opportunity or just something basic, like, man, I'm grateful to be alive. And then even if you can get more specific, the better. I'm grateful that I'm not in pain. I'm grateful that I can move. I'm grateful that I can see, that I can hear, that I can taste, touch, smell, right? Like, these small forms of gratitude go such a far way. And while I know that this isn't truly reversing the negativity from the talk perspective, it makes you realize the positivity you do have in your life. And so while the gratitude practice, I will be fully transparent, is not a direct correlation to removing the negative self-talk, it's more combating the negativity as a whole. And the negativity as a whole feeds into your negative self-talk. So this just creates a little additional sense of positivity. Okay. Next activity that you can do by yourself is visualization. And this is one that, I will be fully honest, is probably the most, not controversial, the most individually applicable and successful method in clients and people that I've worked with. And what I mean by this is, not everybody is great at visualization. Like, when I say visualization, most people just think about sitting there and kind of talking to themselves and going, oh, I want myself to be 20 pounds lighter, or I want myself to get that director promotion, or, oh, I see myself, or I want myself to have that $10,000 raise, or, and they just kind of talk to themselves, but they don't really see it. They don't see the results. So if your brain can visualize, and what I mean by visualize is, like, if you close your eyes and I tell you to paint a picture in your mind of your best friend, of your mom, of your dog, of your cat, the favorite place you ever visit, like, can you actually create an image? This is the exercise for you. Okay. If you can truly visualize out of nothing in your mind, this will be your money ticket. And what you want to do here is actually visualize not just the thing, but the results. So again, I want to make $10,000 more in my next raise. Okay. So visualize yourself with $10,000 more cash, right? But then what are you going to do with it? I'm going to take that $10,000. I'm going to take 20% of it, and I'm going to go on a trip that I've always wanted to Italy, and see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and see, Rome, and eat fried pizza in Naples, whatever it is, right? And then see yourself doing those things. So see yourself not just attaining the thing, but getting the results of the thing. If it's the weight loss thing, as another example, don't just see yourself 20 pounds lighter, but see yourself able to do more activity, to last longer, to have more time with your friends. See yourself living longer, right? Really create the visuals of not just the thing, but the results and the impact. Like I said, not everybody's able to truly visualize like that. And this is not meant to be this long, drawn-out exercise. Again, 5 minutes at most. And the beauty about kind of the three things that I just gave you, of the visualization, the gratitude practice, and the documenting the evidence, you don't have to do all these every day, but you can do a combination therein, right? So I would say, like, these three things can be rotated and exchanged with each other to have some sort of consistent progress every single day. And it also is going to stimulate you from multiple media and multiple learning centers for your mind, that it's actually going to be more effective if you're consistently rounding out with using these tools. And it will also prevent the burnout. It'll prevent, just the lack of effectiveness. You're always going to be really effective, really good, and really quick, and excited to kind of rotate these things in and out. All right, then the last tool, this one I didn't include in those three because I think that this one does need to stand on its own if you're going to adopt this activity, which is mindfulness meditation. Now, most people have the question or a misperception of what mindfulness is. All mindfulness is being aware. So It's not sitting here and having your mind be nothingness. It's being aware that your mind is a giant freaking thought machine that just never stops and never churns. It's being aware of what being sad feels like, what being angry feels like, or it's just being aware of everything. Okay? And what you realize is that it's an engine that never stops. And the ultimate realization is that, oh, it not stopping is the intention. So why am I going to give the negative self-talk or negative image of being like, I'm terrible at budgeting? Why does that get the same equivalent hook and impact into me as the thought that says, I wish the sky was purple? Right? Why? They're the same thing. They are just random generations of this thought machine that you are stuck with and that you have to live with. Okay? And so mindfulness is a tool to just be aware and become detached from that never-ending onslaught of thoughts. And so when you do kind of berate yourself or get down on yourself or have that negative self-talk, you're just like, oh, okay, sweet. Had this thought, nothing changed. Nothing happened, right? Or if you see yourself going down a path of maybe having a mood change, then you just recognize it and you just don't let that feed into a level of negative self-talk either. Okay. Now, I like to, going back to the rotation aspect, so I think it should be kind of its own bucket. I would also throw in some breath work with this as well. So this could be taking deep breaths. It could be holding breaths. You can look up like a Wim Hof method, various things around breath. And the other thing that's actually a very underrated benefit of mindfulness is you're generally going to be practicing this in a setting that requires you to have good posture. So whether this is standing, whether it's sitting, whether it's walking, there's a bunch of different things, but you want to have good posture. And the reason for that is because that, I guess if you go to like the actual text and origin of it, it aligns, chakras, or it puts yourself in a productive position, a bunch of different, depending on what textbooks and things you go to, of the origin of mindfulness. But the posture will actually be huge for reinforcing your brain as to what's happening. When you are sitting there with, broad shoulders, your chest kind of out a little bit and, up, your brain is like, oh, we're active, we're engaged, like we're confident, we're presenting an image, versus just like constantly always being, slouched and relaxed and lackadaisical. And your brain is like, oh, none of this matters. What's the point? It's useless. That's kind of a hidden benefit of mindfulness. Last thing is going to be potentially the hardest thing for some of you to achieve for a multitude of reasons, but surround yourself with encouragement. Easy form of this can be podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, playlists and inspirational quotes and different things like that. Money mechanism. Probably the easiest to adopt, lowest thing to do, because all it takes is you listening to it in the background and as it's happening and playing as you're doing things, or as you're in transition, or as you're in the gym and working out, or whatever it might be. But this also goes to the people. And if the people in your life are just not encouraging, why are they there? Are they really your friends? Are they really your family? Do they have your best interest? And sometimes you got to cut out the cancer. So surround yourself with that encouragement. Surround yourself with an environment that is going to lead to your success. And this doesn't mean positivity in perpetuity, but people who are going to encourage you, criticize you, push you, help you, pull you, all of the different mechanisms at play. That's what we're looking for to surround yourself with, is people who are going to make the difference and get you to where you want to go. So if we round this all out, reversing your negative self-talk, what you need to do is to reverse your negative self-talk, add yet and because to your vocabulary. Name the inner critic, preferably somebody with a negative name, and have conversations with it. Reframe yourself to being in process and in motion and not in an absolute quality. If you're having conversations with yourself, do it in the mirror, looking yourself in the eyes. Document your evidence no matter how small the wins. Do some small gratitude practice, a few minutes a day. perform visualization and not just seeing yourself with the intended goal and result, but then the subsequent things that leads to and why you want it to be done to begin with. Surround yourself with encouragement and the right people and the fulfillment and a good environment, and perform some mindfulness, breath work, and subsequently some good posture work. If you like this type of video, please leave a comment below, hit the like button. If you have some questions, want to spark a discussion on anything I said here or dive deeper, leave a comment below. I respond to every comment every time. Check the videos just to know I'm not kidding. Hit the like button, hit the notification bell, subscribe. We are also live on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and X. Follow us there. Check us out there. Until next time, I appreciate you joining me today. Thank you.